So I'm so excited to see so many people here. It's great that people are interested in learning more about LibreTexts, and I'm really happy to share what Cosumnes River College has been able to accomplish. So a few years ago, the college president at CRC, Dr. Edward Bush, decided that he wanted to have our campus become a full zero textbook cost college. And he decided I was the person that was gonna help make that happen. So asked me to, I am a librarian, but he asked me to step away from my librarian role and to take on this project. And so I've been working on it for the last 2 years. Primarily, we're trying to reach this goal through open educational resources, and LibreTexts is the platform that I recommend when our faculty are looking to adopt something that's already in place or looking to remix their own material. So we have made tremendous progress over the last 2 years. In fall of 2022, we estimate that we saved our students $1.6 million in textbook costs, and last spring, more than $2 million in textbook costs. Our ZTC sections have increased exponentially since I started this project. So when I started in fall of 21, we had 162 zero textbook cost sections. And last spring, we had more than 700 zero textbook cost sections. And that was in a huge part because our faculty really embraced this. And one of the reasons they embraced it is that we were offering a pretty substantial stipend to take on doing this work. So faculty were eligible to earn up to $5,000 for full-time faculty to work on converting their classes to zero textbook costs. And like I said, primarily we're asking them to use open educational resources, but in some of our career and technical education programs and in some disciplines where there is just not an OER option, an example might be in an English course where they really want their students to read a specific novel or some other material that's not OER. We did have dedicated funding set aside so that we could purchase those materials. And last spring, we had about 62% of our faculty, that's combined full-time and part-time, who taught at least one zero textbook cost section. And we're working really hard to get things in place for fall. So I believe that that number is actually going to increase. Same with the number of sections that we are going to be offering. So how did we see all this success? Funding. There's a lot of money that has been pushed into this project. So we used money from COVID relief to help pay for the stipends. We've used funding from the state, from the Chancellor's Office, CTC funding. Our district office has contributed funds to each of our colleges. And we've really just sunk a lot of money into this project. That has also helped allow me to stay on this project full-time as a coordinator. And we've also hired support staff to help faculty and to help me as we're working towards this goal. We are just constantly doing outreach, and we try to offer as much support as we can to faculty to really make this process as seamless and easy as possible, and to let them know that it seems really daunting, but once I've had many faculty say once they got into it, they were surprised at how much material was available, and it really wasn't as difficult as they thought it was going to be. So one of the things that we created through this project was a website, because what I found initially was that all of this information was going out to people in our campus through emails. And I know we all just get overloaded with email, and it's very hard to keep track of things. And you would see it and maybe even bookmark it and think, I got to come back to that, and then couldn't find it again or forgot about it. And so what we started to do is to house all of the resources that we were creating and the information that we were sending out into this website, so that faculty had kind of a one-stop place to go for information and resources. And on this site, we have dedicated sections for LibreTexts. And there's lots of resources that are directly tied to LibreTexts. So in our professional development section, we have a page that's just dedicated to LibreTexts, and it kind of walks faculty through the process of if they're wanting to remix something, what they need to do, or if they want to just adopt something that's already in place. We've linked the kind of self-paced course that was created through the ASCCC, which is a tremendous resource that kind of walks faculty through the process, whether they're just interested in adopting something as is, or they want to remix and they really want to do a lot of changes to a textbook. I've got some kind of suggested workflow in here, and then I have links to the office hours that happen every week, and links to some of the recordings that Delmar has done in various workshops and LibreFests and other things that have happened throughout the state. Another thing that we created is Canvas Commons shells for many of the OpenStax textbooks that are on the LibreTexts platform. And then we are getting requests all the time. So faculty can request to have one of these shells created for them, and one of my support staff will do that. So a faculty might say, I really want this particular textbook. Can you get it into a Canvas shell for me? And we have a professional development workshop recording that kind of walks faculty how to gather this from Canvas Commons. All of these get posted onto Canvas Commons, and then how they can bring it into their own course and do any editing that they would like to do before they're putting it into their actual course. I opened up one of these so you could kind of see what this looks like. So these shells, these are all in the Canvas Commons. And if you just do a search for ZTC and CRC, you'll find them. So you're welcome to grab these and adopt them, although all of the support services are for Cosumnes River College. So you would have to do some major editing and rework some of the things that are inside these shells, but they are available. These are based on the CVC OEI kind of rubric as far as design. So there's an introduction module that's already populated in here. And on the home page, it explains to faculty, if you're adopting this, there is purple text throughout this shell, and that is where you know that you actually need to do a little editing yourself. You either need to replace it or edit it. And then the textbook itself, when they're pulled in from LibreTexts, each chapter comes through as a module. I'm going to scan or scroll down here real quick. So if that bugs your eyes, look away real quick. So I pulled in the OpenStax American History textbook, just so you could see. So what happens is each chapter becomes its own module. And we haven't done any editing here, but if you wanted to adopt this, you could pull this into your shell, and then maybe you could say after this first section, I want my students to do a discussion. So you could add a page, and then you would put it in the proper place within your module, or you might have kind of a check their understanding quiz at the end. But when a student clicks on one of these modules, it is the actual chapter from the textbook that shows up in a content page. And they can read it directly here in the platform, or they can click here and it opens up in LibreTexts, where a student will have more options as far as if they want to change the readability, or if they want to use the annotation tool that's available through LibreTexts. But faculty really like the idea of being able to embed the textbook directly into Canvas, so they can kind of keep their students inside one platform. And LibreTexts is one of the easiest OER repositories that allows faculty to do this. Let's see. The other thing that we have on the website is in the professional development area, in our recorded workshops area, our online course design coordinator did lots of webinars, and we tried to do all of the different platforms, but we really pushed LibreTexts as we were going through because of the accessibility aspects of it and just the ease of use and the ability for faculty to actually edit material. You know, like OpenStax, they're wonderful textbooks, but if you actually want to change something, you can't change it within their platform. And that's the beauty of LibreTexts, where it really allows you to remix and modify. And it's a true spirit of a Creative Commons license and an OER, letting you make any changes that you want to make. So why are we recommending LibreTexts? Like I was just talking about, it's easily allows for remixing and or original creation within the platform. The editor that's within LibreTexts, it's the same text editor that's in Canvas. So it's pretty intuitive for our faculty if they need to make changes or edits. And as far as there is a bit of a learning curve to try to understand the remixer and how that kind of pushes into the content where you actually start doing the editing. But I feel like there are enough resources out there now that if you have questions along the way, it's pretty easy to find the answer on how to do something. And I think the fact that Delmar makes himself available every single week, 2 times a week for office hours, I just think that's such a wonderful resource for faculty to get their questions answered very quickly and help him understand when things are coming up and maybe there might need some changes within the platform. The other reason is that it's free. It's free for all California faculty right now. And I believe that's going to be in place for several more years, and that's due to a grant that LibreTexts received. Lots of times I'll have faculty say, well, I really love Pressbooks. I like that platform. I like the way it looks. But it's expensive if you want to actually be able to manipulate and do a lot of things with it. And when you're looking at a district level or a college level and thinking about hosting 50+ textbooks, it is a tremendous cost. And that's a subscription cost. So it has to be renewed every year. So I really, really encourage faculty to look towards LibreTexts. The other reason is that new features are constantly being added. The adapt homework system, the ability to use the H5P in Studio and pull those interactive questions in. That's one reason faculty would often say, I really like the Pressbook platform because they have all this interactive stuff, which isn't always as accessible as it could be. So LibreTexts offers all of those things, but also really helps faculty understand the accessibility issues that might be coming up and when they might need to make adjustments within a class to make sure that their content is as accessible as possible. So I would say my #1 tip for folks who are interested in remixing material is to organize everything before you start remixing. And I put a sample spreadsheet in here, and these slides I think are going to be available to everyone. So you'll have access to all of these links. This is a remix that we were asked to do for an English writing course. And this first column is the name of, she wanted to name hers modules as opposed to chapters because she's going to pull it into Canvas. This is the section title. This is the original source where it's coming from within LibreTexts. And that's really important because that's how you're going to find it when you're using the remixer. This is the original source title, so the title of the book. And then the original source section. So we kind of know this is the section that it's 9.1 in that book, but we're making it 1.3 in our book. And one of the things I'm going to be working on this semester is to kind of write up this process for faculty so that they can create these spreadsheets when they're ready. And we do have OER specialists on staff that can actually create this remix for the faculty member. They do it in the remixer, and then they push it into the editing mode so that the faculty member can then come in and make the changes that they want to make. In some places you'll see in this that we just like made a placeholder page because we need to fill in with other material. So that's my number one tip. Make sure you organize before you start remixing. And sorry, I only left 3 minutes left for questions, but all of these resources are going to be available on the slides. And if you have questions, you can always reach out to me as well. My contact information is on that website.
Thanks so much, Andi.
Andi? Oh
no, I was just going to say, yeah, all of these slide decks will be available in the Conductor project that all of you have been added to.
Andi, I have a question about your course shells. Do you find your students, not your students, your faculty, that they prefer to have the course shells over the common cartridge download that we provide? Because we're working with the California Education Learning Lab to expand the ADAPT infrastructure in order to have a better repository of files. And the one issue about storing things on Canvas Commons is that you are working within Canvas, and there are many other campuses that Canvas is not the learning management system. So you're sort of excluding these people. But by hosting it on the ADAPT, it then gives people the ability to download it and use it for their things. So did you find your faculty preferred the shells over the actual
I really think, Tamara, I really think it depends on the tech savviness of the individual faculty member. Lots of faculty like it because it's already there and all they have to do is edit within Canvas, which they're familiar with. Now that doesn't include editing the textbook. So if they want to edit the textbook, they're going to have to learn a little bit more. But others, they don't want all of that other stuff that is coming in that Canvas shell, and they want to be able to move stuff around and make it their own before they pull in the common cartridge. So I think having the ability to pull in the common cartridge that's on LibreText, I would not take that away. For sure.
Well, I'm thinking about complementing it with hosting of shells, which is also a common cartridge. It's just expanding it into a little bit. It's not much. It's just if people like it, then we can do it.
Yeah, I think people will like it.
Can I add something as a Los Rios instructor to that? My personal experience is that right now that I am starting to learn this whole process, I think it'd be easier and faster for me to implement, a zero text class or course, but I know for a fact, knowing myself, that later on I'm going to want to have the ability to change things myself, because it's, as you go, you modify it and you adapt it to your own style. And that's probably going to push me to learn more of the tools that are offered through the platform. But right now, because I want to do it, I want to add, a course that's $0 text now, it's so much easier to just get a shell.
Yeah, and there were some questions in the chat. What if you make changes to the book? That's the thing. When you're pulling that textbook in, it's pulling a live version of the book. So if you make changes to the book, it's automatically going to make it within your instance of it. So pulling it in doesn't preclude you from making any changes or edits along the way. And Josh also mentioned that after you've made your edits and then you realize something, you need to go back and change something, you can do that at any time, and it's going to make those automatic updates.
All right, I think we are about 2 minutes over, so not so bad. Thank you again, Andi and Lee. We really appreciate you being here and sharing your experiences with LibreTexts. And like I said, we will share your slide decks with everybody. And I'm sure you'll probably be getting some questions later on.
Sounds great. Right. Thank you all.
Thank
Have
you.
fun. Have